Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Hadean Tactics. And Hadean Tactics is a game coming out in early access that is my absolute dream game. It is an auto chess roguelike deck builder, and as someone with hundreds of hours in auto chess games, in deck builders, and obviously roguelites, this is something that is right up my alley and I just had to try it out. It sounds like a lot of genres combined, but trust me, it comes together to create an amazing experience. But before we jump into the review, I do just want to let you guys know that I was given an early review copy of the game in order to make a video for you all. I never let that influence my reviews, I just like staying as transparent as possible. So how Hadean Tactics works is you have your main hero, which there's only one of currently at the launch of early access, and two starting mediocre minions that get put on a grid at the start of each combat across from the enemy units you need to kill. And at the start of combat you can rearrange the placement of your units, and you also draw several cards from your deck. And there are a ton of different cards in the game, but the main cards that are in your starting deck are cards that give your unit shields to protect them from damage, cards that increase the damage of one of your unit's next attacks, and cards that just deal direct damage to enemies. And once you've played all the cards and either run out of mana or cards themselves in your hand, you end your turn. And when you do this, the game becomes like an auto chess game. All the units fight for themselves. They will auto attack the closest to them, and most units have unique abilities they'll cast once they get enough mana. What's freaking awesome about this game though is that after 7 seconds, combat stops completely again and you draw a new hand of cards and your energy is refreshed. So you get another chance at turning the tide of the battle. So say you notice one of your minions is about to die, you can give them a bunch of shield with your cards, or say one of your units is fighting a really tanky enemy, you could give them extra damage for their next attack to help them kill it faster. Once you do that and you end your turn, the combat continues for 7 more seconds and then it gets paused again, and you keep doing that over and over and over until either you kill all the enemies or you lose. And another awesome mechanic that the game has that makes it like an auto chess game is that the units you get can have passives that synergize with each other. So you can get units that are part of the Relentless Alliance that say whenever a ally unit gets shield, it also gains 10 might. And might is what the damage you add to a unit's next attack is called. And so if you have several of these Relentless Alliance units and also focus on doing a shield heavy build, you're going to be giving your units with shield so much extra might because the perks stack. And I just absolutely love this because it adds a whole other level of depth to the strategies in the game. Not only are you trying to get cards that synergize with each other, you're also trying to get units that synergize with your build, whether it be from their passive alliances or their active abilities. An example of this is in one of my games I had a wolf unit that had an ability that would give all of my units a ton of shield, and obviously in a shield based build that's pretty freaking good. How the game is presented is pretty similarly to Slay the Spire. So you have your branching pathways you can go down, you have elite enemies you can fight to gain extra stuff, there's passive relics, there's ascension levels, there are shops that sell you cards, relics, and units, and the out-of-game progression is mainly just unlocking new cards and relics you find in the game. The game does do a couple of things that deviate from the formula that I really like though. First of all, after every combat all of your units heal a little. Also, if one of your units dies, it is gone for the rest of combat, but it will come back with just a sliver of health each time. So it still punishes you for losing health because you only heal a tiny amount each combat, but it's so nice because it's one thing I hate about Slay the Spire is having to just be so careful and slow sometimes to preserve your health. The game is a little more forgiving in regards to that. The game is still challenging, just less frustrating with that part specifically. Also, the game does something that kind of reminds me of Monster Train, where you can upgrade your units at various points in the game. And you can upgrade them in different ways, so say you have a unit that's part of the Relentless Alliance that I talked about earlier, when you upgrade it, one of the upgrades might just give it more health and have it give allies extra shields, or there could be an upgrade that gives it a ton of extra damage and also gives it a Demon Alliance perk. And each floor you also upgrade your hero in a similar fashion, which is awesome because that means that each hero has different builds they can kind of go on, and it gives you a good starting point to kind of take your build each run. I would love to see more variety in these upgrades though, so each time you see the upgrades, you might see ones that you haven't seen before to increase variety and make it so you're not doing similar builds each time. Also, I do want to touch on the cards again. I have to say, there are a ton of really unique and awesome cards. You have cards that summon temporary units on the field that last for one combat, cards that stun enemies for a certain amount of time, cards that fling units across the field, and a ton more of awesome mechanics. The card variety in the game is actually pretty good for an early access launch. And after you beat the boss of each floor, you get offered one of 4 really powerful relics. One that gives you an extra energy each turn to allow you to play more cards, one that gives you another slot for units in your party because by default you can only have 3, one that lets you draw an extra card each turn, and one that pauses the game 1 second faster, so every 6 seconds instead of every 7. And they all seem so good, and it really makes you think about focusing your builds on certain strategies. So you might just want to have a ton of units and brute force your way through the game, or you might want a ton of energy to play a ton of cards and get all these shenanigans going and kind of cheese your way through some of the combats. And when games normally launch in early access, a lot of times they're really buggy or unbalanced, but I have to say that Hadean Tactics ran perfectly for me. The core mechanics and gameplay the game has right now is completely solid. I think the game could use some slight polish when it comes to the look of the game, maybe more detail or variety with the environment the combat takes place in, and slight touch-ups with the map and UI here and there, but overall it seems pretty good to go. And obviously with the content, it seems like the game will get a lot better with more heroes and cards and units and all that good stuff, but I truly think that the game has an amazing foundation to build upon, and I will be following the game closely as it gets updated. I can't wait to play with the new heroes, units, and cards that come out in future updates. Also, one last piece of feedback is I would love to see even more unique and quirky unit alliances. That's always something that makes these auto chess games super fun, more than these stat increasing buffs, but the game's kind of already on the right path here, just obviously want to state it, love to see more unique passives and stuff for the alliances. So overall, Hadean Tactics is an absolutely amazing game that is pioneering a new genre combination that feels like it was made specifically for me. And if you follow my channel, there is a good chance that this game will be for you as well. I definitely think Hadean Tactics is worthwhile picking up even now at the launch of Early Access if you are as big of a fan as auto chess games or deck building roguelites as I am. But when you guys get your hands on Hadean Tactics, or just from watching gameplay, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see a ton more roguelite content in the future. And if you want to see me go through an amazing run of the game, definitely check out my Let's Play I made earlier. But if you're going to be grinding out some games of Hadean Tactics, I wish you luck, and see you all next time.